people value it when it's paid for. We put out a paid for version in after the free one back in April last year. And it's free and not free. It's free if you're a subscriber. We obsess about loyalty at the Telegraph. Nearly 60% of people who read the Telegraph every day are subscribers 7 days a week. So we obsess about loyalty and adding value of loyalty on. If you're not a subscriber, you pay for this. And you pay $10 a month for the iPad app in this case. If you're a subscriber, you get it all for free. But interesting, when people are paying for it, they value it more. On the left is what you see when it was free, and on the right, when it was paid for. What we also find out, we have a day and an evening peak. We have a daytime peak as you'd expect, and we have an evening peak, slightly smaller one, where people told us they like to read it in bed. That's why it was a bit of a gimmick to start, but it worked out a really popular tool where we could change from going from black text on white to white text on black at a flick of a button. It takes the glare off so you can read it so your partner can get to sleep if you want to read it in bed. I'm not sure what this all says for the sexual health of the nation, but anyway, that's what they told us. This is all part, though, of a mobile and tablet strategy for all the things you see here: building interaction, collecting data, generating revenue, facilitating content collection and distribution, added value, building bridge to younger audiences, and this association with new technology. So how do we sort of move that forward? Well, what we've done, and part of this securing the future and how strategically important mobile is for the Telegraph going forward and for all newspapers, is that on this app space, again, just continue with this for a second, we've launched some new mobile apps in the last month or so. They were free originally. We only had an iPhone app originally, but we've started expanding that into things like into Android as well. So again, you will pay for that, a small fee, a monthly fee, but you get it for free if you're a subscriber. And the way we were able to put a price on that is to add extra features on there. So whereas it was basically a shell of an app before, we now have over 700 editorial sections. You can personalize the news. It has offline reading, embedded multimedia, breaking news. And importantly for those sports fans, we've done a deal with ESPN whereby you can get the goals of Barclays Premiership to your mobile just as the match is finished at the weekend or shown as live on a Sunday or a weekday. You can see we're My Allegiance live with the photographs there, although judging on our performances this year, I think a picture of Mickey Mouse may be a better one. So anyway, so that's where we are with the handset. We then have gone into the real realm now of digitizing and monetizing the content we have. So we have a mobile apps package, we have a digital pack, which is everything I've just said about the apps with email alerts as well. If you get the digital pack, which again is free if you're a subscriber, but not if you're not, you get everything there with the apps in terms of iPad, iPhones, and a loyalty card, which gets you discounts off holidays and the like, and free cups of tea at Debenhams apparently, which is really popular. And also the print pack, which is everything I've just said before, plus the print edition as well. So we sell these packs now through our own website, and we sell them through Apple. And this is part of the whole growth and joining up process that we're looking at. And we know this, we've been to visit newspapers around the world, we know this is proven success. We align ourselves very much with the New York Times, and they've done this. They've increased their digital subscribers, print subscriptions, they've retained their advertising revenue and provided added value for advertisers along the way. What's important though is we keep adding content throughout the year to keep it fresh and remarketable. So at the moment, for example, it's curated, as I said, it's a once-a-day download, and what we're doing is looking how we build weekend supplements, the best of our weekend supplements into the content, and keep adding to that package that we offer. Again, as I say, it's all part of the importance of subscription marketing to us, of adding value to various members of the family. We've also been looking at other people, other newspapers and what they're doing around the world, and this is one from San Francisco, and they operate very much like the Apple Carousel. You can flick through the main newspapers or their supplements, and you can start to download, in this particular case, the real estate magazine, as and when you want it. Similarly, Sydney Morning Herald, they have a home screen when you open it up, which when you get to this screen, you can then download any of their supplements. In this particular case, their property one again called Domain, and when you click on this, you get this, which is all the properties linked to Google Maps again. You can click on a property, and then that will take you through to a 12-picture gallery of a particular property in mind. And again, the iPad is made particularly for things like photography. We're looking at new formats as well. I mean, this is one from the New York Times, back to our friends there. Back in the end of last year, in November, I'm not sure what I think of this actually, but they gave away every single advertising slot that they have on their iPad to Ralph Lauren. And the only way you could see what was happening on the Ralph Lauren catwalk was to look at it streamed live through their iPad app. A good novel idea, and I'm sure it was quite profitable, but I'm just not sure what the readers may have thought of seeing every single ad slot for the whole month of Ralph Lauren. But again, an interesting new format of how newspapers are trying to change the rules. This is a format we're going to be bringing in, with the games that are coming to town, of course, this year. Whereas we have a once-a-day download of our Telegraph app, we're going to be bringing, if you like, a brother and sister app. At 5 p.m. every day, you'll be able to download this on pink paper, so to speak, on the iPad, and you'll be able to see the latest news on the Olympics. We also have this thing in terms of innovative advertising, which is something called Cascade, and it's sort of a very much an innovative multi-platform digital advertising format, and it's called Cascade, as I say, and it was created for the IAB's Future Format Awards, a media first. So it gives advertisers, for example, a flexibility to choose their content either through predefined panels, including a video player, image gallery, social media, RSS feeds, or using a panel as a blank canvas. And it sort of works across multiple digital platforms. So again, and just another example of innovation in the space. As far as mobile web is concerned, away from apps, what we're able to do now in terms of, again, driving forward our future is offer targeting by things like network operator, by handset, by time of day and day of week to advertisers. New formats such as finding your nearest, so you have things like expandable banners prompting people to find the nearest, which are great for things like supermarkets. Google Maps shows the location in relation to the nearest store. Slideshows, you can swipe through 9 images on a mobile site, housed in an expandable banner. Scroll through can be automatic and ads fully clickable. Video banners, user initiated by click. Video plays automatically in browser. Lots of new formats and lots of information. So without going too much detail into all of that today, just making the point that there are new and innovative ways to monetize audiences. So with this new landscape and new devices and new formats, what else do we need to consider? Well, I think the big challenge for the newspaper industry across the world is this, of knowing your audiences and how we actually relate to those audiences across different platforms and different age segments. For example, in our case, the average age of our mobile user is 30. The average age of our online audience is 40. Anyone want to guess what the iPad average age is? 52. And if you're a daily or a Sunday Telegraph, you'll be at a 57 or 60. So you can see how the challenge is, what we don't need to do is packaging, squeezing everything into what we do in print as what we do on the mobile website. So again, it's a challenge going forward. And if you've got any interest in any of this stuff, if you go to that website, I do a blog on there, you'll find it from the tabs, and I've done something recently about, which I haven't got time to today, how people and different age groups relate to different mobile platforms. What's also important is measurement. There is a need for a clear and transparent measurement system, which isn't there at the moment. It's not just about how many people download your app, say. Someone may download it and never use it. It's more about how many active users do you have, how long were they there for, and what was the engagement level when they got there too? How are they using the information and the content you're providing for them? In terms of future, I know you're going to hear a lot about some of this stuff later today, but just some thoughts on what I'm seeing out there. Some of the things which can be increasing interaction and making money from mobile, whether that's payments, in-app payments, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you a few thoughts on a few of those. Mobile payments, I think many predict those will ultimately take over from credit cards. I think much medium-term growth will come from things like NFC, which is near-field communication, how your Oyster card works. We were speaking to Barclaycard at the moment. They're doing quite some interesting things in the whole mobile space. They're actually working with TfL to get rid of the Oyster card over the next 2 years and replace it with a more credit card offering, which they've experimented with so far. You'll be spending more on the tube in the next couple of years, I can guarantee it. But they have this thing called Ping It, if you have your Barclays customer or not. Try this one out. It's how you can transfer money securely and easily across mobile devices. an in-app payment purchase point of view. I'll show you an example from Bjork and from Angry Birds in a minute, which I think is quite cool. But QR codes, 2D barcodes, mobile point of sale, SMS transactions are all important platforms to shaping business models from strategies for the future. If you look at Apple and Amazon, their direct billing via Amazon was $2 billion in 2011. If you look at Google and their wallet, look at eBay's Zong, where sales in 2011 were $370 million. They all give glimpses to the future. PayPal claim over half the mobile buyers now use the service. But it's all about trust. It's about building confidence, and the user experience is key, which is something I think the mobile industry has let itself down with so far. I think there's been an assumption if you put technology out there, people will gravitate around it. You've got to explain to them the benefits and why they would need it, which I think has been a bit lacking so far, which I think has held back some of the technologies out there. But this is how you can buy a burger in Japan. If you go to McDonald's, you can put your phone on the device as you would with your Oyster card, and suddenly you bought yourself a Happy Meal. Will we see this coming to London? Well, possibly. As I say, the games are in town this year, and it's interesting to see that Samsung and Visa are launching something called PayWave. There'll be 3,000 wireless payment terminals across all the venues, which allow you to tap your phone if you have an embedded chip, and pay up to, charge up to £15 direct to your phone. If it's above that, they'll ask for your chip and PIN, but you'll be able to check your balance, your transaction history, and it'll be interesting to see whether Google follow with their wallet in due course. This is the Bjork example, which I think is quite a cool space. Last year she brought out a new album called Biophilia, and it was released to iPad only first before it went as a CD in the stores. And basically what happened, they released them. You got this sort of wibbly-wobbly 3D world through the app, which if you clicked on any one of the stars, which could rotate around the screen, you click through and you were given a chance to buy the songs individually. They bought the songs individually, one at a time out at $1.49 each, I think. And each game came with some visuals. And I think the game I was playing was it worked with the gyroscope in the phone. While you listened to the music, you could play around and go around corners with the device, etc. It came with lyrics and lots more besides. But the interesting thing was, only a few weeks later, after they'd released the songs one by one on the iPad, they released the album. So you sort of think to yourself, oh, I'll buy the album again. Yeah, of course. Some people say all music will be made this way in the future. We shall see. But it's a really interesting space. And this is the Angry Birds one. It always amused me, Angry Birds, that there's no real point to it, really. I mean, you're not going to win anything at the end of it. You're only doing it for your self-satisfaction. And bearing that in mind, why would you pay for something? Well, what they've done, anyone who's been in the space, has played this game, will know there's a level. If you get stuck, you can engage something called the Mighty Eagle, who'll come down and swipe through and get rid of the level for you so you can move on. Well, what they've done now, of course, with this new version of Birds in Space, is offer you the chance to buy them up to $20, these Mighty Eagles, just to get you through to the next level. Why would you do that? But you will. I have. There's no sense to it, but it's a great example of in-app purchase, making something relevant to the audience that they're trying to serve. I do like this, which is Pizza Express's version of how to engage people in mobile. If you download their app and go to any Pizza Express restaurant, you're able to pay your bill by PayPal. So you'll get your bill, and try this out. Hey, Pizza Express, you'll get this now on the bottom of your bill. You can use the bill to use your Pizza Express iPhone app and PayPal account. You download the app, enter the code at the bottom, and you put it into the screen on the right. And it sends you a receipt back to say it's been charged, and you show that to the waiter, and off you go. Really should be applauded for a great innovation. We've mentioned QR codes earlier today. I think they've been very slow to adopt in the UK. I think the jury is still out as far as I'm concerned. I've not seen any real evidence of major successful campaigns in this area yet. I think what it needs, again, coming back to the mobile industry, it needs handsets to incorporate the scanners, and it needs manufacturers to promote the service better. I think this assumption always reminds me. Do you remember the cartoon series called South Park? There was a few episodes in South Park. It's had many series now, where they had a character called the Underpant Gnome, and the Underpant Gnome lived in an underpant lair. And these little men went around and they stole off washing lines underpants, and they stole them from all sorts of places, and they piled these underpants up underground. And they had a 3-point business plan to life. Number 1 was collect underpants. Number 2 was a question mark. They weren't sure what number 2 was. Number 3 was untold wealth for everyone. And they've not actually worked out how to get from collecting these things to untold wealth. And it's the same with technology. Just because it exists, it doesn't mean people want it. We've got to make people realise there's a benefit to it. I did see some research in 2011 which showed that 4 in 10 people on the high street still don't know what one is when confronted with one. So there's still much work to do, especially when you're sending somebody through to what is sometimes a non-optimized mobile website. Food for thought. But there are some really good examples of QR. And this is a good example from Alan Sugar's book. If you get his book, he talks about his earlier life and the things he's gone through in life. And if you scan the QR code, you can see his home videos from his earlier life that he's referring to. It's a great way of bringing print to life. And this sounds like a joke, but it's true. This is the Olympic beach volleyball team who have done a deal with Betfair. So without looking like a perv, you can actually scan the back of the bikini and you'll go through to the Betfair mobile site for the latest odds. That's what I'll be doing this summer anyway. And this is a really cool example of using QR codes. This is Tesco, and when they went to Korea, they decided they want to become number 1 store. They were number 2 store, and they became number 1 by adopting this. And this is basically a Tesco store called Home Plus in Korea. It's closed, it's late at night, and outside the store are just a series of backlit posters. They're not real products, it's just posters. They're backlit, and everyone has a QR code on it. And basically what happens is you scan the QR code of the product with your phone. The product automatically lands in an online cart. And when the order's done, when the purchase is done online, it's delivered to your home as a service the following day, I presume. But a really cool way of 24-hour shopping without the staffing costs as well. These are some bad examples of QR codes. Please. Please. Actually, probably one of these things I say in an America story. Indeed. Similarly, this is also from America, but I've seen this in the UK in the last 2 weeks. How dangerous is this, especially in an area where there's probably no signal? And this as well. Going back to the research, if only 6 people in 10 know what a QR code is, well, let's just hope if you lose your cat, it's one of the 6 that do know what it is, rather than on the knot, you might get your cat drowned on you. But anyway, it looks a bit evil, doesn't it, actually? I was at the Gadget Show Live a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham, and it was interesting, JC Deco showing the latest 6-sheet posters, and on the posters you have a little symbol at the side which has an NFC tag and a QR tag. So if we get this right, I think there's still a big opportunity for QR codes, that's for sure. And this is a good example of using it, so that sends you through for more information about the product. Interestingly, if you push the button here, you actually get the smell of baked potato too, which is really quite fun. It actually works. Augmented reality, we're going to hear bits this afternoon from End to End, and some great stuff they're doing in space. I think augmented reality is basically, if you don't know, it's putting CGI, computer-generated imagery onto real life. It's a very interesting space, and it's great for adding to a multimedia campaign. It makes people's eyes light up, I think, when they see it. It's what mobile, for me, is all about. It creates a real magic. It uses the device well. There's a lot of education needed, certainly, for mass adoption before we go too further. It's far from it still, but it's a very interesting space. And we're looking at how we, with the stuff that we do from an editorial point of view, creating hotspots on a page where you can link through to comments about particular stories, or indeed through advertising, adding that onto a added value campaign to advertisers, how we bring print to life for in their case, and also through promotional things. So if you can't get the crossword solutions to the Telegraph crossword today, you can hold your phone over the crossword, and up pings the solution, which again could be something I'd be able to charge for, but free if you're a subscriber. And again, this is JC Deco again. Look at it. This is their other version of the 6 sheets with AR technology built in. I think we may be seeing a lot more of this going forward. There's still room for the older technology. It was something we heard earlier. Let's not forget the simplicity of messaging. The first commercial message was sent in '92. Today, the number of text messages sent and received every day exceeds the population of the planet. One of those other amazing stats for you. Just before I joined the Telegraph, I did some work with the Evening Standard, where we recruited 1,000 people and we bombarded them over a 6-week period with various text messaging formats, and we asked them what they thought of it at the end of it. And 77% of people read the ad immediately. That was in a recall of 15 brands unprompted out of 21 brands. 41% if asked to do so responded to the text in a minute. It's a very personal thing, rising to 75% within an hour and a half. And I asked you, what other media gives that sort of response? It always amuses me when you look at ITV on a Saturday night now, or BBC for that matter, and they always do the texting competitions and how they do this. This is from the hotel inspector. So you've got the revenue generation bit at the top, which is the text cost £1.50 plus the standard message rate. And it's very interesting, is it not, that when you do this, you get the bounce back message which says, thank you very much, good luck, you're in the competition, you can enter again if you wish, of course. And everybody thinks, that's great, they got me, because that's the excuse to charge you. The actual standard message rate is you texting in to hotel. The bounce back is the excuse to charge you, which I don't think people quite realise that, but anyway, that's fine. And the other bit that's interesting is decline marketing text and SMS with no info. So the assumption is unless you put no info at the end of your entry, you're in the database. Perfectly legal, perfectly fine. But don't get carried away. I think there comes a responsibility with this on everyone's part if you adopt this scenario, because I think if you start to bombard people with double glazing ads, you'll soon be lambasted for it. This is a good example of such. Comet. Once people have entered the competition here, they've sent a message back saying, free message, valid for £5 of any purchase in store. To redeem this, show this code, and they enter it into the till, and you get your £5 discount. And if you don't use it, they'll send you one which says, your expires this weekend, to make sure you don't miss out, it's still worth your £5 to you. A really good use of the bounce back messages. This is something for another day, and I'm not going to get into the whole social media thing today, but what I would say is consumers are demanding what they want, and if it's not available, they're creating it themselves. Consumers' choice will continue to be increasingly broad, niche, varied, instant, and personal, but increasingly importantly, on mobile devices. And I think in exchange for this content, consumers will continue to share their personal data, their interests, their demographics, their device usage, the location, more and more with advertisers and publishers like ourselves, increasingly on mobile. And I think we all need to be aware of that and heed that. We've just launched our own new Facebook page, and we're looking at scoping a Facebook app this year, which will not really be about content. It'll be more about a place for people to share opinions, to share comments, to look at polls, opinions, etc., etc. Wasn't it interesting? And this is the reason why we need to take this seriously. If you look at Facebook, they certainly weren't wired for mobile from the ground up. It came from the desktop era, and that legacy still shows in what it does. It's sort of very lackluster mobile offering, and this is obviously a big play for them in mobile. And what better place to start with things like photographs, their bread and butter, and of course they're going to get 300 million users in the process. So interesting time for them. Finally, though, it's all about, going forward, it's all about convergence. It's about virtual and physical payments, convergence of mobile networks and data services, of mobile and online platforms, and as we've just seen, physical, augmented, and virtual realities. So I suppose the key takeaways really are the mobile opportunity can be all these things. It can add a new dimension to what you're doing. It can build a database, a usable database. It can buy a revenue stream. It can enhance what you're doing, rejuvenate, and be a great content distributor. This is how we view life. We view the newspaper as the more luxurious, complete, older demographic. The smartphones about breaking news, utility, and fun. The tablets, highly curated, once a day, aimed at time-poor, younger demographic. And the web is about search drive. It's about archive and multimedia. Mobile is key to our futures, as is print. It's about thinking, in your case and in everyone's case, about where your future audiences are and where they're going to be, and how you best communicate them in which channel. Remember, it's still a new space for everyone. We're all still learning. There's no one panacea. It's not just about making money. Data is so important too. But do have a strategy. Don't dabble. It's about bringing tailored and building tailored experiences and building experiments into that process. But do try and dominate your markets with relevant mobile services and apps. Focus on mobile optimization of all the content in your ecosystem. And when you get a chance to, with your audiences you're trying to reach, make them feel important, and try and entertain them when that's possible. So I think traditional media is certainly driving the agenda, and I've really skimmed the surface today of what we're trying to do about the reinvention of the news industry. Print for us will remain certainly an important part of that mix, but it'll be a channel, one of the channels we offer. Mobile is certainly an integral part of that future, and we're certainly committed to its world-class multi-channel, multi-platform future. If you don't believe me, come and see us. You're more than welcome. Come and see us in Victoria, and we'll show you our new ad lab we're building, which is our vision for the future, and we show you some of the things we're up to over there. So newspapers to die, not over Victoria they're not, that's for sure. Thank you for your time.